Hello guys, it's me! So, about a year ago now, I made a guide on how to play Engineer in Mann Vs Machine, and that video did pretty well. I'm pretty sure in that video I said that I'd make an Engineer's Blueprints type video on the Mann vs Machine maps at some point. Well, that some point is now. Just in time for the MVM update, guys, that will definitely release very soon, like hopefully like tonight maybe, I don't know. There are currently 6 official MVM maps. Wait, really? There's only 6 maps? What? Well, actually there's 7 maps, but the 7th one is just a Scream Fortress reskin of Coaltown made for Wave 666. So whatever I say for Coaltown also applies to Ghost Town for the most part. Aside from Coaltown, there's also Bigrock, Decoy, Mannhatten, Mannworks, and Rottenburg. I'll be going over some spots that I personally use when playing NG in MVM, but I will also be going over some other spots that I've seen that also work. I'll be going over each map and their building spots separately. For example, I'll talk about the Sentry, DIspenser, and Teleporter spots on Mannhatten, and then I'll do the same for Rottenburg, and then so on and so forth. I'll be putting timestamps in the description for each map and their respective building spots. This physical representation of myself will now disappear because I'm too lazy to animate myself for the rest of the video. So, anyways, now before I do any of that, I want to break my format before I've even used it to talk about the Teleporter Entrance. The spot where you put your entrance is pretty much universal between every map aside from Bigrock. In my opinion, it's best to put your entrance between both spawn doors, so in the middle. The reason for this is travel time. What I mean by this is, I'll give an example. On Rottenburg, both spawn rooms are quite far away from each other. Now if you were to put your entrance in front of, let's say, the spawn room on the right, now that's pretty good for someone who's spawned in on the right spawn. However, it would take quite a bit longer for the person who just spawned in on the left spawn room to get to the teleporter. Now yeah, the distance between each spawn room differs from map to map, most being a very short distance from each other, but I hope you get what I mean. Putting the entrance in the middle is fair for everyone because not everybody is going to spawn in the correct spawn room. Although if you have multiple engineers for whatever reason, then I'd say just put your entrance in front of either spawn room. Although, according to a friend of mine, you're more likely to spawn in on the right side rather than on the left side. But I'm not so sure about that because I seem to spawn more on the left than I do on the right. So I'm not completely sure on that. Maybe I'm just built different. Bigrock is the only outlier here because the spawn room is just one massive room and both doors don't immediately lead to the same spot like the others do. I normally put my entrance in front of the right door, but putting the entrance on the door on the left also works. Thinking about it, putting the entrance at the left door could be a little bit better because it's actually slightly more protected than the door on the right, but it really doesn't matter. Alright, now that we've got that out of the way, let's start with... Mannhatten is currently the only map with 3 separate control points, which makes it the map with the most building spots, so I'll be going over this first. There will be a little icon in the corner of the screen which indicates what gate the respective spot is good for, starting off with the teleporter exit first. The first spot that I'm going to go over is here, next to the barrels and crates and planks and everything else. From what I can tell, this is the most popular spot when it comes to the Tele Exit, and that's pretty fair. It's very accessible for your team, and it's quick to get to. I personally don't use this spot though, because I feel like, in my experience, there's more of a chance for robots to be right in front of you and kill you when you go through the telly. Another spot you could use is this spot here, next to these barrels that are close to the big entrance to the massive room that the first point is enclosed in, and close by to Gate A. It's a decent spot for when you're defending both the main gate and Gate A. This is the spot that I personally use. I use this spot because it's good for if Gate A is captured. You don't need to move your exit anywhere and none of your teammates need to climb up anything to get to the gate either once the gate is capped. The only downside to this spot that I can think of is when you're still defending the main gate, your teammates will have to climb up or walk around to get to it. So honestly, I'd only really recommend using it for when Gate A has been captured. There's also this spot here, which is close by to the previous spot. This spot is actually pretty good for all 3 gates, however it's a little bit riskier when you're defending Gate A, but you can just move the exit to the top of the crate, it's just around the corner. You could also just use this spot for all 3 gates too, but when you're defending the main gate it can be a little bit dangerous. Here are some other exit spots that also work for the main gate. And finally, when Gate B has been captured, you can either use the spots that were just mentioned, or you can use the spot here next to the gate. This actually works very well for a sentry spot, which I'll cover shortly. Onto the dispenser spots. At the first gate, in my opinion, the best place to put your dispenser is here next to the barrel and banisters. The barrel gives good protection to the dispenser and isn't likely to be trampled by the robots, and it has good range for your teammates as long as you have dispenser range maxed out. On the other hand, this spot behind the crate is also decent, but has a higher chance of getting trampled or blown up by a sentry buster, and it doesn't heal on the other side of the crate even with maxed out dispenser range. And when your teammates are fighting the robots up top, you can use either one of these spots. For gate 2, the only spot you could really put your dispenser is by this wall just in front of the gate. You could put your dispenser on the other side of the gate, but it's most likely going to get trampled over. So just put it by the wall that has the notice poster on it. For gate 3, you could either put your dispenser behind this big gas canister, or you can put it by the wall to the right. If you've been pushed back a little bit, you can put it here. And if you've been pushed all the way back to spawn, you can put it on either side of the entrance. All of these spots that I've mentioned have good protection and have good range, which means your teammates will be safe while healing up. Onto the sentry gun. For gate 1, you generally want to put your sentry gun on top of here, next to the health and ammo kits. This gives the sentry a good view of the incoming robots below. It also gives you quick access to health and ammo kits and lets you quickly move your sentry gun in front of the stairs for when robots are coming from up top. Putting the sentry near the middle mostly ensures that the sentry gun won't pop the other meds before they get destroyed by one of the medic busters. Putting it up top will also ensure that sentry busters won't blow up your team, and spies will only spawn up top since you will also be up top. You can also put the sentry gun close to the stairs around here to body block the robots coming from up top. Alternatively, you could put your sentry gun round the corner. This is good for if giants come down the stairs. This spot also gives your team protection from sentry busters as it's still up top, although this is the spot that snipers usually stand, so if a sentry buster does come up while you're using that spot, just make sure to warn them. This spot is actually something I mentioned in the other video. Specifically at the start of wave 3 on Empire Escalation, you should put your sentry gun around this spot. The reason for this is simple. A few engineers will spawn around this general area, your sentry gun will take care of them, aside from one engineer who will just wander off, but your teammates can handle that one. Probably. I've marked where the engineers will spawn. If you put your sentry gun in the right place, it should be able to reach all three. You can use the red sphere that indicates the range of the gun to put it in the red spot. Aside from those spots, you can also put your sentry gun either on top of the giant canister or the crate here. This is one of the few spots where the sentry buster cannot get to, so it just wastes its time before blowing up and detonating. And in a few cases with the canister, the buster can't even blow up the sentry gun. However, these spots can be a bit dangerous as the buster can still blow up and kill your teammates. You can also put your sentry gun down here, but specifically to body block the robots. Moving on to gate 2, you could either put your sentry gun down below, or you can build your gun up here on top of these crates. Putting it down below can help with body blocking the robots, while putting it up top keeps you, the engineer, safer and decreases the risk of your teammates getting blown up by the sentry busters. It's also pretty simple to get up to, you can either just walk round or sentry jump up. Finally, for gate 3, you can put your sentry gun on top of either side of these crates. This is good for if the bots have captured the gate but you're still on top of the crates from defending the previous gate. Or you can put it on top of this ramp nearby one of the Tele Exit spots. It's also nearby a full ammo kit. You could also put the sentry gun on top of the canister here, but I wouldn't recommend it as the robots are invincible when coming out the gate, so your gun will just be wasting its ammo. That's it for the Mannhatten spots. Let's go on to. When it comes to Rottenburg, there are 4 spots you can use for the Tele Exit. Either here outside the room, inside the upgrade station room, out here on top of the stairs, or between the stairs and the rocks. The first spot here is the most passive but is the safest, at least until the robots start pushing up there. The spot inside with the upgrade station has a lot of protection, but is a spot that an engineer bot uses. The spot on top of the stairs is quick to get to, but puts you into a massive sightline, and putting it next to the rocks gives you more protection, but it also has the same risk as the previous. For your dispenser, you typically want to put it here behind this big rock. It has good range and is pretty well protected against the robots coming out of the main exit. However, this spot isn't as protected when the robots are coming out the gate to the right. But there's not really anywhere else around this area you can put your dispenser, so you might as well just keep it there. If you've been pushed back a little bit, putting your dispenser behind either of these rocks is pretty good. You pretty much choose which spot to use based off which gate most of the robots are coming from. If you've been pushed back even further, I'd say put your dispenser behind this crate. It gives decent cover and there's a health and ammo kit right next to it if your team needs it. And if you've been pushed back even further, some spots you can use are here, 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 or here. Maybe even here. The sentry spots for this map are pretty straightforward. Most of the time you can just put your sentry gun here in front of the wooden barricade. It has a pretty good view of both gates. If a tank is going to spawn that wave, I'd recommend moving the gun slightly to the left so it doesn't get trampled by the tank. Another spot that I found useful is pretty much the same spot as before, but just behind the barricades. This is good for if you've been pushed back a little bit, or if there are giant scouts that are about to get past. You can also move it slightly to the left or the right in case there's a tank, or if the robots are running coming out the second gate. Two other spots that I'd like to mention are these two, one by the upgrade station on medium ammo kit, and the other by the medium health kit. These two have decent sight lines, but they can be easily destroyed by a sniper bot, especially the one by the upgrade station. Another spot that I would like to mention is this spot between these two rocks. It has a decent-ish sight line for the first gate and confuses the hell out of the sentry buster, making it go all the way around. The only problem with this spot is that it can't see the second gate, making the spot basically useless when no robot is coming out of the main gate. If you've been pushed back a little bit more, you can put your sentry gun around here, and if you've been pushed back even further, here are some other spots that are also pretty good. Alright, now that that map's out of the way, now on to... The building spots on this map somewhat depend on which route the robots take, so I'll be splitting each building section into two subsections. I'll be naming them Route 1 and Route 2. Route 1 being the left route and Route 2 being the right route, left and right being the way that the robots are facing, not you the player. For Route 1 I usually put my teleporter exit in this corner. The spot is pretty good, but it can also be a bit risky when the robots have pushed forward, as you will be right behind them when you go for the exit. On the other hand, this spot up here is a little bit safer, but it's also slower to get to. For Route 2, I usually put my teleporter in this little building. The map calls it a nurse's station, so I'll just call it that. This spot is quite protected. However, if you don't want to put your exit in the nurse's station, you can put it out here. I like to put it inside this bush, but you can put it wherever. This has the same issue as its counterpart on the other side. These next few spots will work for either route. Some other spots you could use are inside, or on top of the Salt Rock building. And another spot you could use is this little cubby next to the Mann Mining Company building. It's quite protected, but depending on where the robots are, it can be a little bit risky to place there, as it's pretty out of the way for your team to get to. You can also place your teleporter on the opposite side on top of the Chaps Dry Goods building, but I don't think I've ever actually seen anyone use this spot, but I reckon it's a decent spot. Dispenser spots are pretty simple on this map. On Route 1 you can put your dispenser around here. It has good protection, and it has a good range too. And if you've been pushed back, you can put it here, 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 and here. And here are their Route 2 counterparts. In my opinion, the best spot for the sentry gun on this map is around here, where the red line is. When the robots are going left, I usually put my gun in this part of the staircase that goes up to the top of the Mann Mining Company building. And if the robots are going right, I usually put my gun near the staircase that goes up to the Chaps building. You could also just put it in the middle, but the only problem with that is that it will get crushed by a tank. Another good spot is here on the top of the Mann Mining Company building. It has a decent view of the main area and it's next to a full ammo kit. But there are two problems with it. The sentry's range, primarily when the robots are closer to the Salt Rock building, which can be negated with the Wrangler, but also the fact that it has a blind spot. If there are any robots going underneath, then the sentry guns just can't see them. Also, if the robots are going through Route 1, you can't use the Wrangler to pick them off like you can if they were going through Route 2. If you've been pushed back further, you can put your sentry either up top or below here on Route 1, and same basically goes for Route 2. Building up top takes a bit more time to get to and can't target the robots that go underneath the bridge on Route 1, but the ledge on the other side, which acts as the bridge's counterpart, has the benefit that it doesn't get ran over by the tank. And when you're being pushed back to spawn, I like to use either one of these spots. The spot by the stairs is in a massive sightline, and the sentry's range will not be big enough to catch the robots just above, so you will need the Wrangler. But the benefit to the spot though is that it's quick to get to, but if you're able to, just use the spot on the other side as it's more protected. Now that we're done with that map, let's move on to... This map is similar to Coaltown in the sense that there are two routes that the robots can take, so I'll be splitting each section up into two subsections like I did with Coaltown. Going back to the teleporter entrance for a second, you can actually build your teleporter inside a spawn in this specific area for some reason. I don't use this spot simply because I forget that I put it there, but it is the safest teleporter spot out of every map in TF2, but it also might get patched out in the upcoming updates, so I guess use it for as long as you can abuse it. Back to the exit spots, I usually put my exit in this building here, but you can also build your exit outside depending on what route the robots are going through. But personally, I think that just putting it in the room is overall safer. For route 1, you can put your dispenser up here. With maxed out dispenser range, it can actually be pretty good. Alternatively, you can also put your dispenser by these stairs. And if you've been pushed back, you can put your dispenser in these spots. On route 2, you generally want to build your dispenser here by these rocks. If you've been pushed back slightly, you can put your dispenser by the stairs. And if you've been pushed back even further, you can put your dispenser in these spots. These sentry spots for each side are pretty much the same, so I'll be grouping these as basically the same spots. If you're building below, you can build around these slopes. These spots are good for body blocking and they generally have good range. If you want to build upstairs, you can build your sentry on top of the wooden planks and sandbags. These spots confuse the sentry busters, but I'd say it's a little bit easier for the robots to destroy it. When you're being pushed back to spawn, putting your sentry gun on top of this bridge gives a good view of incoming robots and also the bomb. The side you put the sentry gun generally depends on which side the robots are coming from. Now that we've covered that map, let's move on to... Now I'm going to be honest man, I don't know what the best exit spot to use on this map is. Pretty much every spot on this map that I can think of either puts you and your team in harm's way, or it's just too out of the way to get to if you need to get back to spawn. However, I will still list off the exit spots that I think can work. I normally put my exit here inside this building next to a sentry spot that I'll talk about in a moment. However, this spot only really benefits the engineer if he's built on top. It's a good exit spot, but it's not a good two-way spot, if that makes sense. Another spot that I've seen that can be useful is around this spot here, behind the wall and in front of the ramp. It's easily accessible, but can be destroyed by a robot engineer if he builds up there, and can be easily countered by a sniper bot. It can also just be trampled over by the giant robots, as it is in the way of their path. Alternatively, you can put it on the other side, although it has the same issue as before. You could also put your teleporter to the side of this ramp next to the Dry Creek shaft entrance. Still has those same issues from before, but now the giant robots won't trample it. Alternatively, you could put your teleporter up here on either side of this nope thing. However, this spot has the same problems as the last few spots. Another spot that I've seen that can work is on top of this building here. It gives decent cover, but it kinda takes a bit too long to get to. It's good for your team sniper, but that's kind of it. For my dispenser spot, I usually put it here. Pretty good for the team, especially with maxed out dispenser range, has good cover, and it's easy for me to heal with my rescue ranger from where I usually build. If you want to be a bit more passive, you can build your dispenser either here or here, close by to the teleporter spots that I mentioned earlier. These spots give good protection but have the same issue with the tele spot, with those being the robot's engineer built close by to these spots. Sniper bots can camp it, and for the spot by the ramp, it's in the way of the giant robot's pathing. If you've been pushed back a bit, you can put your dispenser either here or here. And if you've been pushed back to spawn, you can build in one of these spots. For the sentry spots, I usually put my sentry gun up here, for basically the same reason as the first sentry spot in Mannhatten. This gives the sentry a good view of the incoming robots below, and it gives you quick access to the health and ammo kits. Putting it up top also ensures that the sentry busters won't blow up your team, and spies will only spawn up top, since you'll also be up top. The only issue with the spot is that you're prone to being headshot when these snipers spawn, as they will set up shop on the opposite side of the map from you, but you can easily pick them off using the Wrangler. You can also put your sentry gun down below here. It gives you quick access to your dispenser and possibly the teleporter, but your team will also be in more danger with sentry busters than spies, and it can get crushed by the tank, but you can just move it closer to either wall. You could also put your sentry gun on top of the building in the middle, but I'd only use this spot if you've been pushed back slightly, as it doesn't have good range on its own. You will need the Wrangler. This spot is also the place where your team's sniper will stand, so it puts him in danger of sentry busters. And if you've been pushed back, you can put your sentry gun either on top of the stairs if the robots are going through route 1, or you can build it on top of this hill if they are going through route 2. Now that we've finished with this map, let's move on to our final map, that being the exit spot for Bigrock is pretty straightforward. I usually just put my exit here in between the rocks and the wooden fence. It's quite close to the front line, but it's also pretty safe. Another spot you can put your teleporter is here, behind these rocks. The only problem with this spot is that your upper body isn't protected, so you can still get headshot, and just shot in general. You could also put it further up behind this fence. The fence gives pretty good protection. If you want to be different, you can put it on the other side of the cave here behind this fence. Again, gives you and your team good protection. Although the only downside to this spot is that it's a bit more open and has less protection once you get past the fence. Also, if you've been pushed back out of the cave, you could put your teleporter inside this building, as just like every teleporter spot that I mentioned in this entire video, it gives good protection so you ain't just killed as soon as you go through it. Bigrock is the largest official MVM map, so I thought I'd add in an extra tele spot. The dispenser spots for this map are also pretty straightforward. I normally put my dispenser here just in front of these rocks. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive with your dispenser spot, this spot by the rocks in front of the gate is pretty decent, but it has a higher chance of getting destroyed. You could also put your dispenser behind this fence if you've been pushed back slightly. If you've been pushed back a little bit more, this spot by the health kits and the first tele spot I mentioned earlier is a decent spot. The rocks give pretty good cover and you can still see the incoming robots. And if the robots are going around the big rock, then you can put your dispenser by this fence near the first exit spot. If you've been pushed back outside for route 1, you can build your dispenser in these places. And if the robots are going through route 2, here are the other route's counterparts. And if you've been pushed back to spawn, you can probably just put your dispenser here, or here. And finally, the good old sentry gun. I usually put my sentry gun on top of these rocks. It's a good spot, although its range doesn't go far enough to reach the robots going to their right. However, you can just pick them off using the Wrangler, or you can just wait until the robots get into range. Alternatively, you could build your sentry around these tracks. It has a good view of both ways the robots run, but has the same risk as a lot of other spots in that sentry busters are more likely to blow up your team. You could also build your sentry gun on top of these rocks in front of the gate. This is one of those spots where the sentry buster gets confused and delays its explosion. Only problem with this spot though is that, similar to one of the spots I mentioned for Gate B on Mannhatten, the sentry gun starts shooting the robots when they're still in the gate, and while the robots are in the gate they are invulnerable, which means that the gun is just wasting ammo until the robots actually get out the gate. If you've been pushed back slightly, you can build your sentry gun around here. And if you've been pushed back a little bit more, you can put the gun either next to or on top of this little rock. For some reason though, you can't build on the bigger rock next to it, which is weird. This would have been a good spot to confuse the sentry busters. Anyways, if you've been pushed back outside the cave and the bots are going through route 1, you can put your gun in these spots. And finally, if the robots are going through route 2, you can put your gun in these spots. So that's it. This is every spot that I can think of for all the buildings. If I've missed any spots, please let me know. I hope you've learned a spot or two. If not, then this video was just a waste of time for both of us. I have a Discord server and a Twitter account where I retweet artwork of Susie Deltarune and Princess Daisy from Mario, so if you're interested in either of those, the links are below. Anyways, I hope you have a good day, and goodbye for now.